So I was just watching the video I made about you don't have to put up with mediocrity. I was talking about why I'm not in a relationship anymore with my sister and brother, and it made me really sad. And the reason I'm making a video when I'm sad is because I want people to know that it's okay to be sad and how to walk through feelings, like how to deal with our painful feelings. And, people are always walking around with that happy smile on their face, but doesn't, it's not helpful if it's just fake. I've gotten very comfortable with my crying because I stay with the energy and I don't get stuck in it anymore. But anyway, well, sometimes you get stuck in it a long time. If somebody died or a relationship ends, you're talking about months or a year or two of pain. For that, someone very close to me, I won't say who, recently went through a breakup. And it's a good friend, and I really want to be that for that friend. And it was a male, and I encouraged him to feel his feelings and I told him it's normal to be sad. If you weren't sad, I would be worried about you as being some kind of a psychopath. I think that we need to encourage, especially men, to have feelings. And I said, ending a relationship or losing a loved one, it's like you had this big oak tree in your yard and someone yanked out the oak tree. It's not just like the oak tree is gone, there's a big hole in the ground. You're staring at the hole. And you have to make a whole new life without the other person. So mentally, your routine will be different, right? But also, you have to feel that pain, that grief is so deep, and I think that pain is worse when it feeds into some mental story of poor me, I'm a victim, things will never get better, and all of that, which is what I did. What I do now with my grief is I feel it in my body and I just feel it as energy moving through me, and I realize the thoughts I have about it are different. But sometimes it's hard, like in the case with my sister and brother, I'm grieving, like, I mean, whether it's them or guys I hooked up with, I want to be able to love people. That's what I really came in touch with. I want to be able to love them. Like I don't like not talking to them because I really love them. But but I have to have some boundaries. There's so many different kinds of pain. There's also pain when guys I hooked up with blew me off and I felt sorry for myself. Even some women, if you read my book, The Fuck List. And that pain went on and on and on because I didn't know how to deal with pain. The pain comes up and it's this emotion, and the emotion, we always have thoughts. The emotions change the nature of the thoughts. Our thoughts become infused with the emotions. So if I'm sad, whatever thought I have becomes like, poor me, why doesn't he want me? I wish I could have him. I wish I could have what I don't have. And I think that makes the pain worse than it otherwise would be, because if I just feel the emotion in my body, it really is quite tolerable. The pain comes from the thoughts about it. But now, that's for a breakup. But for like this case of people that are in our lives that we want to say no to, like Today I had a dance instruction and I told the instructor I didn't want to take lessons anymore. It was a really freaking, I didn't want to take private lessons anymore, and I was struggling with hurting his feelings and speaking up. Like, I didn't want him to feel bad, and but I'm really like, okay, I gotta tell him, and I'm not gonna tell him at the end of the lesson like some coward. I'm gonna tell him at the beginning of the lesson. How am I gonna say it without sounding selfish? I'm like, okay, for my dancing progress. By the way, I decided to keep taking lessons from him. I'm taking private dance lessons for my country and my salsa, and I love it. But I'm like, okay, I'm gonna tell him at the beginning of the lesson that I decided, well, it's not that I didn't like him. I thought I really didn't need the lessons. I should just do group lessons for a while or watch YouTube videos at home. So at the very beginning of the lesson, I told him my intention, that I wasn't going to continue like I told him I would. And he ended up teaching me so many things today that I can't get from a group lesson or from YouTube videos. So I decided to continue the lessons. But what I was trying to tell you is that I struggle with making people feel bad. You know, I mean, they're just parts of being human. It's like this blend of trust and not trust and compassion for others versus taking care of ourselves. And honestly, he wasn't offended at all. Anyway, I digress. I wish that I could be I wish I could be in a relationship with my sister and brother. And I think the only reason I was emotional is because I smoked a little weed or I had a little bit of wine, because I was thinking about it all day today and I didn't get teary-eyed. In fact, earlier today I was a little bit angry about it, because another feeling that I have with it is that you know, feeling defensive that people are going to accuse me of being a bad sister, not being loving enough, not being loving enough. Like, I'm a bad person. I'm just not loving enough. And I told myself, well, how is that loving for me to be treated like shit? Pretty much. Not in a good way. Like, why is that okay? Well, they're my family. They're my sister and brother. We have good feelings going all the way back. Like, all these thoughts that are not helpful at all. Because other thoughts I had about it, and this is like interesting, different thoughts I had today, was we're not kids anymore. You know, you can't just like say whatever the fuck you want and make it all about you. That's acting like a 4-year-old. Like, you guys don't get to act like 4-year-olds. We're adults now. So, you know, like, I have all these different thoughts and emotions about it. Overall, I will say that I do not like ending relationships with my family. I didn't even want to leave my marriage. My first step always, and maybe it's because I was the oldest. I sat on my dad's lap a lot when I was a little girl, when he was talking with his friends. I always liked hanging out with the adults. My first go-to is, how can I get along with people that I'm in relationship with, whether it's friends or family? How can I get along with you? How can we get along? How can we make this better? Uh, Sometimes I get angry and I cut people off, but then the next day or within an hour, I apologize. I don't cut people off like we're going no contact just because I get annoyed or triggered. I don't do that. I might have done it before when I was younger, like my rebellious 20-year-old age. But I I think most people do value their relationships, and the reason that relationships end, I think, have to do with the whether it's family and friends. Well, sometimes we just grow apart, but in the case of family, I think people generally want to get along, and I think our relationships end because somebody got their feelings hurt, and in retaliation, they're closed off or entitled, or I think sometimes people just grow in different ways and no longer tolerate each other's behavior that they had when they were kids. Like a lot of families have, we all have some amount of dysfunction, like uh, boundarylessness, like we say whatever we want to each other, or being walled off, closing down. I'm not going to talk about it. My mom used to give me the silent treatment. When I spent the night with my boyfriend, and he was my boyfriend for 3 years, I never cheated on him, and he treated me very well. She should have been happy I had a good guy like that. But I would spend the night with him, and I would come home and she wouldn't talk to me. And then I was like, oh God, I have to face the silent treatment again. So that's just a type of dysfunction. I don't even think she should have cared. I was 16 and 17 and 18. But anyway, I may be digressing. Let me wrap up this video. I think there's a lot of dysfunction that we have in our families. We take that same dysfunction into our adult lives, and it doesn't serve us well, because a lot of those behavior patterns were good as children, where we had to get along with people, but they don't serve us in our adult life because they're not healthy and they're not enriching and nourishing. But I think as siblings we can keep those same patterns between us. And I don't know how I ended up being like I think I ended up being the peacemaker part, because I definitely was my dad's favorite, and he didn't like them. So I think they projected my siblings projected some kind of goodness onto me, some kind of parenting or something. And that's why it tugs at my heartstrings, because I feel like they're my kids. I don't know why I feel like they're my kids. But right now I kind of felt like that, because I sometimes even feel like my parents are my kids. I treat my whole family like they're my kids, like I'm emotionally responsible for them, even though we barely talk and we don't have like a dysfunctional thing. But I feel like I have it together and I'm the one they can come to. I can't go to any of them for comfort. That's what I mean. Not like kids, not to that level, but when I talk to my mom, I ask her how she's doing, because she doesn't really have that good of a quality of listening, although she's very affectionate and loving. All right, well, basically, let me say this. I feel like I'm in support of them. If I have a problem, I need someone to talk to, I wouldn't call my brother. He would be judgmental and lecture me, because it would just be my fault, whatever the problem was. My sister probably wouldn't listen to me because she'd be on a bike ride or busy doing something, and she would be shuffling her papers. My mom wouldn't know what to say. She'd probably say, oh. And then she would feel sad for me. She wouldn't know what to say. I could talk to any of my kids, or any of my kids' significant others, or any of my friends, and they would listen to me, and they would know what to say, and even a few of my clients. But the people in my family don't, and it's fine that they don't know what to say. I'm there for them. I don't mind. It's not like they're taking from me. They require small amounts of it. But I love them, is what I'm trying to say. Even though I love them, as you can tell from this video so far, and you can also tell how emotions can move through people. You don't have to get stuck in anger or sadness. I hope you guys have seen that from my videos, because I notice that when I make the video, like I started out mad and now I'm laughing, or I started out crying and now I'm laughing, and now I'm crying again and now I'm laughing. That's how emotions can move through us, and it's taken me years to get to the point. Now, if somebody I love died, it would be different, but for something like this, I don't get stuck in it. Anyway, even though I love my siblings, doesn't mean I want to put up with the way that they treat me, because the way they treat me feels unpleasant. And so my responsibility is to have the courage to speak out. I wish I could call them and tell them, but I don't want to get in an argument. So I kind of took the lazy way out and sent an email. And they'll probably just get defensive because it wasn't worded the best, and maybe I didn't want to word it the best because I'm like, I put up with this bullshit for years. I'm a little bit angry too. But the reason I made this video again is to show that it's okay to have feelings, that cutting people out of your life doesn't have to be done out of anger. It can be done with love too. Like, I love these people, but I don't like how they treat me. And I know I don't think I'll ever get any coaching clients making these videos because I watch these other YouTubers who are like coaches, and they're like, this is what you do for this, and this is what you do for this. And I'm just over here being like, let's sit around the campfire and let me share you my feelings with you. But that's what feels right to me, and that's what I like doing. And I just have to trust that that's the right venue for me, because sometimes I make videos and I delete them, and sometimes I'm like, I feel like I need to share this with whoever wants to hear it. And that's how I feel about this one. Anyway, thank you for watching my video about family.